part one of this two-part exploration, you will measure how the pressure of a confined gas changes with changes in the volume. The gas will be captured in a syringe which has volume scale printed on it. The syringe will be attached to an absolute pressure sensor to measure the pressure of the gas within the syringe. In part two, you will use the absolute pressure sensor to measure the pressure of the gas inside a rigid container and use a temperature sensor to measure the temperature of the water bath in which the container is immersed. You will then use a graph of absolute pressure versus temperature data to determine the relationship between the pressure and temperature to estimate the value of absolute zero.
Our first pre-lab question states, in general, what change in pressure do you expect to see as the volume changes? And then explain. Gas molecules bouncing onto surfaces is related to the idea of gas pressure. A change of volume in a container of gas results in a different number of collisions, therefore a different amount of pressure. The pressure of a constant volume of gas will be affected by changes in temperature. And then the second pre-lab question states, why is it important to keep the temperature constant during the experiment? It is important to keep the temperature constant because temperature is a measure of the average kinetic energy of gas molecules. In other words, this implies that the molecules, the colder everything gets, the slower the molecules. Thus, the temperature at which all motion stops must be the coldest temperature possible. This temperature is called absolute zero. And that's our first pre-lab questions.
Alright, then next, these are materials that you will be needing for your lab. First, you'll be starting off with a Passport Explorer GLX. Then, you start off with also Passport Absolute Pressure Temperature Sensor, or Passport Absolute Pressure Sensor. Then you need a temperature probe, a hot plate, an aluminum can, a quick release connector with sensor on it, tubing along with the sensor, rubber stuffing with a hole, a right angle clamp, small tripod base rod, and a beaker followed by tongs, a 3-finger clamp, a syringe, and protective gear. Also, you will need consumables such as glycerin, which is the main source. You also will need a rubber band and water, about one liter. And the purpose of this lab is just to explore the different gas changes within confined changes in volume and measure the pressure of gas, and thus also measure the temperature of gas. And that is the first part. And that's the ending of the first part of the video.